Welcome to Simpler Bible, a daily journey to biblical understanding. I called this one Ahab because Ahab is definitely the most, well-known guy in the stories we're going to be reading today. But we're going to cover a lot of the different kings of the northern kingdom, Israel today. We're going to have a lot of information. And so just follow along with me in 1 Kings 15. Listen, for those of you who are details, I want you to start paying attention to the name of the king, to how old they were when they became king, to how long they were king, and whether they were king over Israel or Judah. And that will help you be able to kind of map out these things. I'll make note of it here, but it's not anything. There's no test, so you'll be okay. All right. So here's what we've got: 15:1, 1 Kings 15:1. In the 18th year of King Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, Abijam began to reign over Judah. He reigned for 3 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom. And he walked in all the sins of his father before him, and his heart was not wholly true to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. Nevertheless, for David's sake, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem, setting up his son after him and establishing Jerusalem. Because David did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and did not turn aside from anything that the Lord commanded him all of his days, except in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. Now there was a war between Rehoboam, that's the son of Solomon, and Jeroboam all the days of his life. The rest of the acts of Abijam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And there was war between Abijam and Jeroboam. And then Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa, his son, reigned in his place. In the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Asa began to reign, and he reigned for 41 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Abishalom. And Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and as David his father had done. He put away the male cult prostitutes out of the land, and he removed all the idols that his father had made. He removed Maacah, his mother, from being queen mother, because she had made an abominable image for the Asherah. And Asa cut down her image and burned it in the brook Kidron. But the high places were not taken away. So let me remind you of the high places here. You're going to see this over and over and over again in the Kings and the Chronicles. What are these high places that he's talking about? Before David had brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem in 2 Samuel. Before David did that, we had guys like Samuel who were leading the people at Bethel, at Ramah, at Gibeon, and the other one's escaping me right now. Gibeon was the big one. And so these were high places. These were places where the prophet would make this rotation, and he would go around and he would lead people in worship, and he would make offerings to God. These were different than the tent of meeting, which was at Gibeon. And so he would go and he would do these things. You might remember from the beginning of 1 Kings when we met King Solomon for the first time, and he would go to the high place at Gibeon, and that's where he met with the Lord and spoke with the Lord. And so these high places were places of worship before the temple had been built. Unfortunately, after the temple had been built, people continued to use them as places of worship, but instead of using them as places of worship for God, they used them as places for idolatrous worship. And so these are the places that during the reign of Saul, during the reign of David, were used as places of worship where people would meet with the prophets. So the high places were not taken away. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was wholly true to the Lord all of his days. And he brought into the house of the Lord the sacred gifts of his father and his own sacred gifts, silver and gold and vessels. And there was war between Asa and Baasha, the king of Israel, all their days. Now Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and built Ramah, that he might permit no one to go out or come in to Asa, king of Judah. And Asa took the silver and all the gold that were left in the treasuries of the house of the Lord and the treasuries of the king's house, and gave them into his servants' hands. And the king Asa sent them to Ben-Hadad. Ben-Hadad is going to be a pretty serious bad guy that we'll see here in the coming chapters. The son of Tabramon, the son of Hizion, the king of Syria, so keep that in mind, who lived in Damascus, saying, and that's important too in the prophets, let there be a covenant between you and me, as there was between my father and your father. Behold, I am sending you a present of silver and gold. Break your covenant with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may withdraw from me. And Ben-Hadad listened to King Asa, and sent the commanders of his armies against the cities of Israel, and conquered Ijon, Dan, Abel-Beth-Maachah, and all of Chinneroth, along with all the land of Naphtali. And when Baasha heard of it, he stopped building Ramah, and he lived in Tirzah. So you have the northern kingdom oppressing the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom Asa hires Ben-Hadad and says, look, be on my side and help me against the people of Israel. And so the people of Israel withdraw. Then King Asa made a proclamation to all Judah. None was exempt. They carried away the stones of Ramah and its timbers, which Baasha had been building, and with them King Asa built Gilboa and of Benjamin and Mizpah. And the rest of the acts of Asa and all of his might and all that he did and the cities that he built, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Judah? But in his old age he was diseased in his feet, and Asa slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father, and Jehoshaphat reigned in his place. Now, Asa's story is way more interesting in the book of Chronicles. So I've made some notes here for you. I'll include all this in the blog as well. So in 2 Chronicles 14, Asa goes to war against the Ethiopians, I believe. And he cries out to God. He goes, God, you can save by few or you can save by many. And he relies on God for help. Asa is trusting the Lord. And then a prophet comes to him in 2 Chronicles 15 and says, look, as long as you serve the Lord is with you, man. He'll go with you wherever you go. In 2 Chronicles 16, another army comes against Asa, and this time he does not depend upon the Lord, but tries to hire people to help him. And he's rebuked for this. And the prophets come and they rebuke him and they say, look, why are you relying on other nations to help you when before you saw God help you? Like, why are you turning away from the Lord? And then the Bible tells us in 2 Chronicles 16 that he was diseased in his feet. And even though the disease in his feet got worse and worse, he never sought the Lord on it, but instead spent all of his time pursuing doctors. And so Asa does depart in heart from the Lord towards the end of his life. And there's a lot more information on that in 2 Chronicles 14, 15, and 16. Anyway, Nadab, the son of Jeroboam, began to reign over Israel, northern kingdom, in the second year of Asa, king of Judah, and he reigned for 2 years. Now remember, Asa was a king for a long time. So the way that the Kings is doing this is it's going to say Asa became king and he's a king for this length of time. And it tells us about Asa. And now it's going to tell us about all the kings of Israel that reigned during Asa's reign. And so this isn't after Asa had died. This is like they're jumping back and forth. Here's the king of Israel. Here's the king of Judah. Here's the king of Israel. And they're trying to kind of give you a timeline here. It's just kind of a little bit choppy. So he reigned in Israel for 2 years, Nadab did. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and he walked in the ways of his father and in the sins which he made Israel to sin. Baasha, the son of Ahijah, the house of Issachar, conspired against him, and Baasha struck him down at Gibeathon, which belonged to the Philistines, for Nadab and all of Israel were laying siege to it. So Baasha killed him in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and reigned in his place. As soon as Baasha was king, he killed all the house of Jeroboam. He left not to Jeroboam a single man that breathed, till he had destroyed it completely, according to the word of the Lord, and according to the word of the Lord spoken by his servant Ahijah. There was war between Asa and Baasha, the king of Israel, all their days. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, Baasha, the son of Ahijah, began to reign in Tirzah, and he reigned for 24 years. Jump down to 16. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu. Jehu's a prophet. There is later a Jehu who is a king. This is not him. And the word of the Lord came to Jehu, the son of Hanani, against Baasha, saying, since I have exalted you out of all the dust and made you leader over all my people, and you have walked in the way of Jeroboam and caused the people to sin, provoking me to anger, behold, I will sweep away you, Baasha, with your house, and I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Anyone belonging to Baasha who dies in the city, the dogs will eat. Anyone who dies in the field, the birds of the heavens shall eat. This is a curse that's used several times against wicked kings. So Baasha rejects the Lord, and it says this in verse 7, chapter, 16, verse 7. Moreover, the word of the Lord came by the prophet Jehu, the son of Hanani, the son of Baasha, against Baasha and his house, both because of all the evil that he had done in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger with the work of his hands, because he was just like the house of Jeroboam, because he had destroyed it. So remember, Jeroboam is the one who, civil war, Israel and Judah, he's the one that set up the altars at Bethel and Dan. He's the one that stretched out his hand against the man of God. He's the one that's appointing priest, whoever he wants to be as a priest. So in the 26th year, we're going to go through several kings quickly here. In the 26th year of Asa, so Asa's still alive at this point, Elah, the son of Baasha, began to reign. He's going to reign for 2 years. And then you have this guy named Zimri, the commander of his army, who's like, I don't want you to reign anymore. So he kills the king. And he's going to reign in his place. And listen to what it says here. This is crazy about Zimri. Jump down to verse 15. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, Zimri reigned 7 days, yes, 7 days in Tirzah. He gets to be king for 7 days. And it says, Listen to what it says here. The troops who were encamped heard about it, saying, Zimri has conspired. He's killed the king. Therefore, Israel made Omri, the commander of the army, king over Israel that day in the camp. So when Zimri saw that Omri's coming to attack him, Zimri sets his house on fire and dies. He doesn't want to be attacked. He doesn't want to be destroyed. So he just kills himself, sets his house on fire. So Baasha was king for a couple of years. Zimri kills him. Zimri's king for a week. And then Omri now is being promoted to king by most of the people who count. But half of the people of Israel want Tibni to be king. So verse 21, the people of Israel were divided into two parts. Half followed Tibni, the son of Ginath, to make him king, and half followed Omri. But the people who followed Omri overcame the people who followed Tibni, the son of Ginath. So Tibni died, and Omri became king. In the 31st year of Asa, king of Judah, Omri began to reign over Israel, and he reigned for 12 years. 6 years he reigned in Tirzah. And he bought the hill of Samaria from Shemer for 2 talents of silver. Remember, a talent is 75 pounds. Okay, 75 pounds. So 150 pounds of silver. He bought this hill. He fortified the hill, and he called it Samaria, and Samaria is now going to be the capital city of Israel. Omri did what was evil in the sight of the Lord and did more evil than all who were before him. Now, listen to this. Let's jump down to verse 29. In the 38th year of Asa, still alive, right? And he's going to reign for 41 years, still alive. Ahab, the son of Omri, began to reign over Israel. And Ahab, the son of Omri, reigned over Israel and Samaria for 22 years. So he's over Israel 22 years. And Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord more than all who were before him. Now, bear with me here. It's just said of his father Omni. Omni did more evil in the sight of the Lord than any who were before him. And then Ahab's going to come along and be even worse than that. And then listen to this, verse 31. And as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, he took for his wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and he went and served Baal and worshipped him. So the evil of Jeroboam, who built the idols in Bethel and Dan, the evil of Jeroboam, who turned from the Lord, pales in comparison to the evil of Ahab. He erected, Ahab erected an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he built in Samaria, and Ahab made an Asherah pole. Ahab did more to provoke the Lord, to the God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel who were before him, which haven't been a whole lot at this point. In his days, Hiel of Bethel built Jericho. He laid its foundation at the cost of Abram, his firstborn, and set up its gates at the cost of his young as Segub, according to the word of the Lord, which was spoken by Joshua the son of Nun. That's a reference to Joshua 6:26. After Joshua destroys the city of Jericho, he pronounces a curse that anyone who rebuilds the city, it will cost them their firstborn. Anyone who rebuilds the gates, the walls, it will cost them their secondborn. And that's exactly what happens here. So now we have been introduced to Ahab, the most wicked king of the nation of Israel, and he will be the most wicked king for a while. There won't be anybody worse than him for a long, long time, but we will see more of that later. But tomorrow we get into some of my absolute favorite stories and the arch nemesis of this wicked king Ahab, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite dudes in the Bible, Elijah. So join me tomorrow in 1 Kings 17. If you're reading ahead, just one chapter, 1 Kings 17, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for journeying with us today at Simpler Bible through another section of Scripture where we come to know and understand God a little bit better. Look, if you're brand new to Simpler Bible, we have all sorts of resources available for you. Go to our website, simplerbible.com, and there you can find these videos, you can find our podcast, you can find links to our social media, and you can even find a blog post with additional scriptures if you want to go into a little bit more study than we had time to cover in this podcast and video today. We hope that this tool will be exactly that for you, a tool. Not something that replaces your daily walk with God, but something that enhances your daily walk with God and helps you to know and enjoy Him more. Thank you so much for being part of this, and we'll see you again tomorrow.